very good morning to you and welcome to this edition of the program. Good morning, Anambra. I want to believe you had a swell weekend, and of course today is going to be a good one, and of course the week is going to be a very good week. Good morning once again. I'm Ebere Ugonna. Let's take you over now for press review. You're back on the show. Well, it's time for us to look at the various papers we have this morning. Of course, get you informed, educated, and of course entertained on what is going on in your vicinity, in your community, and of course the world at large. But we already have guests who's going to be analyzing with me this morning, and of course looking at the papers with me this morning. My very first guest with me this morning is Mr. Chuka Uzezie. He is a public affairs analyst. Mr. Chuka, good morning.
Good morning, Ugon, and welcome viewers to the program.
All right, and my second guest this morning is no other than Sir Jerry Obodo. He is a public affairs analyst. Good to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you for having me. The Nigerians, the Anambra, please be with us.
All right, be with us. That takes us straight up to stories making the headlines on our ABS website. Let's look at the very first story there. Says Soludo felicitates with Chairman Pokobros Group Okonkwo at 80. We've got National Association of the Blind holds 2022 White Cane Safety Day in Oka. We have Anambra Culture, Entertainment and Tourism Commissioner Onyenji commends St. Stephen's Anglican Church Onitsha for celebrating New Yam Festival. And finally there, Mrs. Saludo advocates tougher sanctions for domestic violence and abuses. Four top stories on our website this morning. Let me begin with you, Sir Jerry. Okay. Which would you want us to talk about? We've got Saludo felicitating with the chairman of Pokobros, the National Association of the Blind holding the White Cane Safety Day. The Culture and Entertainment Commissioner commends St. Stephen's Church for celebrating their New Yam Festival. And finally, the governor's wife is saying stiffer sanction on sexual violence and all of that.
Yeah, let me go with that of Mrs. Soludo's advocacy for tougher sanctions.
Okay.
For, sex abuse and
domestic
violence. We have advocated that people should desist from, taking laws into their hands. If there are some, problems, misunderstanding between the families or parties, there's no point resorting to, battering or beating of the parties. You have to, adopt alternative, dispute mechanism, and also you can resort to law enforcement, reporting to a law enforcement agency, so that we curb the issue of, this. Violence in the family. Also, the sex harassment and the abuse is not something that one should condone. It's condemnable. You have to, it has to be a consensuous thing. You have to agree with each other before you have your way. So we don't like people raping people or harassing people inappropriately.
All right. Let me come to you, Sir Chuka. Of lately on the internet, we've seen lots of stories, emanating from there that has to do with domestic violence. And of lately, there's this story on the net now, IVD, one business guy in Lagos, the wife just passed away through domestic violence. We also heard about the situation with Osinachi and a lot. Of course, the governor's wife is coming now to say stiffer sanction on people who are, caught in this act. Now, my question is, how stiff could this sanction be that could really curb this and curb it finally?
I want to look at the issues from the perspective of how good will a medicine be to prevent diseases?
Okay.
So I think there are fundamental issues. If the society, the families, the various religious organizations, the government, the family structure, the villages, the society at large will nip the problem in the bud by engendering, training both male and female, children on how to conduct themselves. Imbibing certain attributes like empathy in children while they are still small. When they grow up, you find out that resolving differences will not be anything that people will even hear about. And then respecting other people's opinion. Because we are now looking for medicine instead of looking for a way to solve preventing problems. So I think we are going to talk more or consider more on how to re-engineer the behavior of the populace by starting early to culture individual. Because if you really look at it, you find that there's a paucity of sound behavior these days. And when these young adults get to become, parents or become partners in marriage, we are going to see more of these violence. If you look at the issue of rape, and this, many people have advocated maybe it's the fashion, probably is still part of it, but then we have to still look at the other side of engendering discipline, self-control, and then, individual orientation so that people will know how to carry themselves, because definitely temptation will always come one way or the other, disagreements will always come one way or the other, but the capacity of an individual to manage situations depends on the innate ability of the person already have developed over the time. So what I'm suggesting is, while we have these sanctions as a prohibitive mechanism in place, we also go back to the root to make sure that these young children now learn abilities, learn behavioral dispositions that will enable them not even tend towards those negative behavior in the society.
All right. Okay.
Also, I want to, because if you look at the headlines, 2 is about looking at the, behavioral and social issues, the blind, and then on the other hand, the ABS headline also talked about one of the Anambra State foremost industrialists, Pogo Bros, who he just celebrated 80 years. And if you link it also with the commissioner of cultural, the new Yam Festival. So I want to link these two issues. It borders on productivity. Pogo Bros, we celebrate him because he's somebody that we know for being highly productive in Nigeria, not just in Anambra State. He is a serial innovator, he's a serial industrialist. And this is a great one for Anambra State, for God keeping him till this ripe old age. And then putting it towards the New Year Festival. If you find out for about 2 months now, many towns have been celebrating New Yam Festival. And I think it's still linked to productivity. But I want the government now, I want the society now to lay more emphasis. What do we learn? What do we benefit from all this New Yam Festival? Do we just celebrate it for the sake of celebrating it? I believe that a lot more should go into these celebrations. Teaching the young ones, teaching everybody how to be productive, especially in production of food. Because I think when you have a satiated populace who are well fed, I think most of the crime in the society will go down. We have more satisfied populace, and you see most of the crimes will go down, because I think most of the crimes start when people believe that they may not be able to take care of their needs, and they resort to, hook or crook to provide for themselves. So more kudos to people who celebrate the age-long tradition of the Igbo people, but then I think they should also come up with ways of teaching people how to produce yam, even in their backyards, like yam in the bag, technology and other ways of producing with little or effort.
All right, that's where we actually give some kudos to the past governor, Governor Willie Obiano, when he initiated the Ubwa Zone. So it's important that everybody goes back to base and, try to get one or two stuff for themselves when it comes to farming. Let's move on to our very first paper this morning. Daily Trust is our very first paper. Let's look at the big story on Daily Trust. We've got some few papers, but we'll begin with this. The big story there says, Oronsai report, despite white paper, asked agencies get 226 billion naira in 2023 budget. And down there we've got Nigeria's flood death toll hit 603 as 2.5 million affected. And we also have Oyeyinka sworn in as Ekiti governor. We've got APC PDP clash over Atiku's comment on Tinubu Obi's chances enough. Knox trail closure of broadcast stations by Zamfara government. We've got Tinubu meets Northern leaders today. Kwangwaso shuns dialogue over secret endorsement. And we've got 25% killed in Kaduna Bauchi road crashes. That's about some of the headlines we have on Daily Trust this morning. Let me begin with you, Sir Jerry. What you do want us to talk? We could just pick one and, do some analysis.
Let me do analysis on, despite white paper, asked agencies get 226 billion in 2023 budget. Yeah, we have already stated categorically that some of the agencies have no business being in existence because it's a duplication of agencies and MDAs. What ministries are doing, some of them are there in the agencies, so, building up, necessary recurrent expenditures to the federal government. So one would have expected that the federal government should have respected the Orosanya white paper, which recommended a lot of these agencies to go, so that we have a manageable agencies, MDAs, and cut down on cost of running the government. That's the one of what the Labour presidential candidate is advocating, cutting down cost of running government, because of where you have little to execute the capital expenditure and you have more to spend on recurrent expenditure. It doesn't make sense.
Okay. Thank you, Sachuka. What's your take on that?
Just like he said, you find out that our problem always is still fundamental. If we as a nation want to tell ourselves the truth, we know, because Igbo people will say, Achobisi, Alo, Ejide, Ado, Makado, Sinodo, Achobisi, Ocho, Ejide, Osumana, Bolomo. So when we want to solve problems, we go to the root cause. In a period where the country or the government is bemoaning the paucity of funds to do very essential, things, they are allocating humongous, some for agencies who are already yet to clear themselves of graft. And then that makes it, as if there is complicity between the people at the helms of our affairs and their, friends that they appointed to head these agencies. So it seems as if it's a national cake affair, getting your friends, creating this agency, like he said, to settle some of their cronies, and then allocating, unbelievable, sums to their agencies, which of course what will happen to it. So Definitely, the National Assembly have a lot of role to play in this if they are not complicit in the whole issues. Also, the populace have to stand, just like I always commend us, although I'm talking as if because I'm a member, of course, for staying strong and resolute, because what we are fighting for is we are fighting for the system, not just for ourselves. And I think it will definitely use...
It's making headways.
Yes.
All right. Just to also let you know that you can contribute, you can join in the discussion this morning by calling the number on your screen. If there are questions you need to ask, of course, if there are contributions you need to make, just feel free to call the numbers. We'll be here to take your call. Let's look at this one on the Daily Trust before moving to our next paper this morning. Nigeria's flood debt toll hits 603 as 2.5 million people are affected. Where do we go from here, Sir Jerry? It's the rainy season. We know what's happening here in Anambra State, particularly at the areas of Abaru and Anam and, the likes like that. And of course, dead people are dying. People are being displaced. People don't have places to go. What's the fate?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate and, pathetic seeing the houses going in, on tops of the, water. The, deaths, coming there, a lot of IDPs, throwing people, making people homeless, really unfortunate. So, in one of my outings on radio, I said, can we continue to be like this? There's one musician who said, Shana, like this we go. So must we be like this? Must we continue in this way? Can't we think out of the box? Now, I preferred that since this is an annual occurrence, the federal government and state governments that harbors the prone areas should begin to think out of the box. One, is the rivers that passes through the area shallow, that it does not contain the water that is going there, that makes it overflow the banks. If that is the case, because there could be debris and sands that can make it shallow. Why not dredge that place? Or even contract local sand excavators to cut out the sands, so that when water flows, it can contain the water. Two, the water, the Cameroonian and Chad that releases water, and the thing comes into Nigeria and causes havoc. Is there no way we can checkmate it? Is there no way of constructing dams, and to serve as embankments, and so that the water does not overflow the banks and cause more havoc to the people? So it's not only waiting till the thing hits and you start building, resettling IDPs and all that. Three is, can't the federal government borrow a leaf from what is done in abroad or in advanced climes, where an area is prone to some natural occurrences or disaster? They will sensitize the people and go to a land that is not prone to that, build houses for them and relocate them permanently. Not this every year go to IDP camps and all that, so that when the water or whatever that occurs, it will not affect the people or the houses. So these are the three things I prefer as a solution to the federal government and the state governments, so that it won't be an annual problem.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us to our next paper, the Punch newspaper. Let's look at stories making the headlines of the Punch newspaper this morning. Fresh trouble hits Atiku over anti-Yoruba Igbo comment. And we've got writers there that say Tinubu Obi's camp. NPP lambast ex-VP over incendiary statement. PDP candidate likely breach Section 97 of Electoral Act. Fine may apply. Atiku campaigns in Kaduna. Tinubu meets Northern Coalition. APC misleading Nigerians. Okay, down there we've got Oyebanji freezes Ekiti account, warns bank. Lagos female driver kills pregnant woman, 2 passengers. Up there, greed collapses 98 times. Under Buhari, amid 1.52 trillion bailout. Buhari's budget, 248 billion naira for Lagos Ibadan Expressway and others. ASU Varsity holds emergency meeting on resumption. And finally, we've got federal government says flood killed 603, blames states and local governments. Okay, these are stories making the headlines, and I know it's been trending on social media ever since the PDP presidential candidate Atiku made that statement. Let me begin with you, Sir Chuka. Let's look at the big story. Fresh trouble hits Atiku over anti-Yoruba and Igbo comment he made on TV.
Definitely, it is good that, the adage we good, if the wind blows, we go see foul nyash. So let the wind blow well enough so that we really have opportunity to look at the quality of the people who aspire to position of leadership. Yes, it is unbelievable that a person of particular character or personality who have been at the second position in the country for over 8 years to come out and make such statements at a period where he is gunning for the #1 place. That will tell you the mindset of some of these political personnel or persons. Because if they are truly there aspiring to lead the country out of its woes, or to take the country from their position of weakness to position of strength, or to strengthen the areas of strength, you find out that they will have something positive to say at any point in time. The problem is not about the challenges Nigeria is facing, but the individuals who are aspiring to lead, are they going there to help Nigeria get stronger, get better, and move away or far away from their position of weaknesses? So I think Nigeria is redeemable, but the challenge is that most of these people going there are going there for selfish purposes, for outlandish reasons, for sake of power, going for power, because Atiku has seen power, Atiku has seen wealth. So I don't know what else, why he should wipe up such tribal sentiments. That will tell you that probably what we are seeing under this present government will be a far cry. If when everybody in Nigeria is already tired of nepotism, of tribalism, when we have such movements that cut across tribe, religion, and other points of division, clamoring for Nigeria to be redeemed for the sake of Nigerians. And then one of the aspirants at this twin light of a change, still talking about divisive opinion. So I think it is now left for the public to really make decisions by the ballot, to put in people at least who have been talking, who have been acting like people who want Nigeria. And this is somebody who has touted himself as a unifier. Now I'm coming with this. So it means that most times what they say is not what they mean, and it's not what they're actually going to do. So this will now continue to destroy the trust that is expected of the population from the leadership. So in fact, it is a sorry, in fact, I think Atiku should come to national platforms and do apologize to the sensibilities of the population. It is not a question of campaign now or the politics. He should come and make an apology. Is this who Nigerians are? I believe people outside Nigeria, other people from other countries will still be stunned from what he said, unless he's under influence.
All right, thank you very much. Sir Jerry, in just 1 minute, you want to add something to that particular story?
The thing, like you rightly pointed out, people should guard themselves from making unguarded statements. When you are coming to the public, you must guard yourself from statements that can trigger off, some a problem or confusion and looks, inciting. So that.
But you can't give what you don't have.
That has that has exposed him and his camp. So
okay.
it's a minus for him and for his camp as we go for the election in 2023.
All right, let's quickly move on to the next story. The Nation's newspaper says the big one still on Atiku issue. Outrage over Atiku's don't vote for Yoruba Igbo remark. Okay, up there we've got Telecom's active voice subscribers hit 206.4 million. Lagos leads with 753 billion Nigeria collection. Tinubu to interact with northern leaders today. Forex crisis worsens as Naira reserves drop to lowest level. We've got Ekiti Governor Imbaji unfolds plan. And here we've got Ohaneze Mohalo others knocks PDP presidential candidate. Okay, let's quickly look at the Daily Sun while we also get back to some stories on the Nation. The Daily Sun, let's look at the big story on the Daily Sun too. Flood spreads more havoc, sorrow, agony with riders there. Takes over Uhili Asaba Highway, East-West Road. 603 lives lost, many injured, 2.5 million displaced, says humanitarian minister. Kanu, Igbo lawyers tackle federal government, accuses Malami of court contempt. And down there we've got again, Rivers ranks first in fiscal performance. Bojaite Oyebanji sworn in as Ekiti governor, unveils 6-point agenda. Mba outlines agenda for Enugu, promises to deliver people-focused governance. And of course, we've got Jonathan denies endorsing any candidate. Ahead of 2023 election, editors hold 2022 conference in Owerri. Okay, that's it on the Sun. Let's quickly look at this story on the Nation. Still on Atiku's issue, Ohaneze and Mohalo knocks PDP presidential candidate. But we've talked and said that it's important he issues an apology.
Of course,
and,
yeah.
But would that solve the solution, Sachuka? Because you talked about the fact that, yes, people should be careful when they make statements, especially a presidential candidate.
Unguarded statements.
But will this solve the situation, considering the fact the election is around the corner, even if he makes a public apology?
You see, it's not about it is my turn, it must be me. You see, part of apology, like if you look at what the whites normally do, when somebody is accused of maybe of graft or of misconduct, the first thing they do is to resign willingly to give room for the right agency to investigate them and then see they are clean, they come clean of those allegations. But here, our politicians behave as if they have different stock. They will hold on to power, and if they want to influence and interfere with the investigations. And now, if it's in Western climb, you find out that some people might withdraw from the race for that singular purpose. Yes, because you touted yourself as a unifier. That was the one of, in fact, that's the prime, argument. And now, even some other presidential aspirant even called him so. And now look at the kind of unification he wants to bring to the table. And there's no amount of just apology that would be enough. We want to see remorse, a behavior that showed true remorse and change of behavior, because I believe some of their statement comes from their deepest conviction. It's not just that is a political, statement. No, this is not a political statement. They know what these people want to hear. So and that is why I think the greatest thing the government can do for the populace is education, because education liberates the mind and make people able to take decisions independent of external influence.
All right, thank you. Quickly, sir.
Thank you very much, the Prince. What I want to add to it is that this could also cost election victory or chances for the candidates. because in the public view, he has a mind to, segregate, to discriminate, and so many other, things that comes up. And also, this kind of statement cost us the 1993 presidential election, which was declared as free and fair for Abiola. Abiola came out before the election and said that he can do without the Igbos. So this angered the Igbo, and especially late Aton Zeribe. He now, went to court, and with in alliance with the president of that time, IBB, that election was annulled. So he was angered because he made Abiola made such statement that he can do without the Igbos.
All right, let's actually hope he's learnt his lesson. I don't know, as he goes further with his campaign. Let's look at this big story in the Sun, the flood issue. Sir Chuka, flood spreads more havoc and sorrow. Now, Sir Jerry says, of course, since we know this is an annual thing, this thing happens every other year. And, it looks as if we don't get prepared for it. It looks as if every time we're prepared that people die through this particular, issue and incident. Where do we go from here, Sir Chuka?
We are little premium is placed on lives. We find out that we always be reactive to issues that threaten the very existence of a certain part of the population. So just like Sajid rightly said, there are so many basic things that can be provided for even in the budget annually, that you find out that gradually, systemically, you find out that the impact of this flood will be mitigated over the. In fact, this threat, this problem of flood could be harnessed for productivity, for prosperity of every state. For instance, let's look at Anambra State, because when you talk about deepening the waterways or expanding the waterways to accommodate for the kind of flood that occurs when the floodgates of the dam up there in Cameroon and other up north countries were even opened up, is to dredge the waterways, canalize it, open it up. Now you can create artificial waterways and canals, which will be an alternative transport means, which is cheaper, one, and safer. These will also serve as, which you can also create dams and serve for irrigation of rainy season farming, off-season farming.
Off-season.
Then you can also, while you are doing the dredging, a lot of construction material can be provided for large scale, where the states, collaborating states, can now key into to implement massive infrastructure, a rollout. Because you don't just engage people to dredge alone. They dredge, they bring out the sand, you convert them to concrete immediately. This will now, go into prefab gutters, prefab slab, paving stone, that's what we call it, interlocking stone, that can be used for road construction in swampy areas or in many estates. And when you synergize such efforts, you are not just preventing the effect of flood, you are creating jobs, you are rolling out infrastructure, you are improving food production, and so on and so forth.
All right.
You understand? So I think if the affected state alone, without the federal government, like the federal government is now blaming the states and local government, yes, in a way, but I'll still blame them, because if you go back to what they call the exclusive rights of government over maybe power, waterways, and all manner of things. If they really want to blame states and local government, they should improve on their autonomy by looking at the issue of restructuring. Yeah. When they restructure and they have great autonomy, then states can now get because they might not have the fund to really do this kind of thing I'm saying. So they can now come up with consortium of foreign partners, of local industrialists, who will now put resources together and now do the dredging, do the embankments, run dams that will generate electricity, dams that will supply irrigation facilities, create artificial waterways that will, become a transport system, create jobs, and then compel all the contractors to patronize those prefab drainage systems and all whatnot. They find out that it solves the problem and it creates wealth instead of being maybe just
an annual problem.
Something an economic drain for the state. It becomes an investment for the state.
Great advice.
That's correct.
I hope the federal government is listening. Maybe we can make Sir Chuka one of the advisors. Okay, quickly let's look at this story before going to our next paper. Kano Igbo lead lawyers tackle federal government, accuses Malami of court contempt. Well, a few days ago there was this joy, especially down here in the east, the eastern states, where it was said that Nnamdi Kanu has been discharged and acquitted. That was the first story that emanated until conflicting stories from the federal government came and said he was discharged, he wasn't acquitted and all of that. Quickly, Sir Jerry, what do you have to say about that quickly as we move on?
Yeah, what I have to say on that is the image of the federal government and the presidency has been battered both locally and internationally. So I would advise that even though, or even if it's not acquitted, legally, if you are discharged and acquitted, that means nothing stops you from going. But if you are discharged and not acquitted, you still have a matter to answer, probably through the appeal to another court. So, but what I'm saying, asking the federal government is to resort to dialogue now, not this through court litigation, because one is that the way I see it, it will take the nowhere. All the 7 count charge, it was 15 before, they were all knocked out. So I don't see the ground for them to still go for further litigation or to keep him. Also, to douse the tension that is generated in the East. On Mondays, people don't do business. Is economically affecting the nation and the Southeast.
All right, quickly, let's run through our remaining papers, which of course time is not our friend. We have to run. This day is next. Let's look at the stories on this day newspaper. We'll just pick 1 or 2 stories then move. The big story on these days is Atiku. Nigeria doesn't need leader who will move her from rotting to bad situation. Well, they're beginning to call names now. Impact with Enugu electorate in that pledges to deliver quality, people-focused government. Let's quickly look at the Guardian newspaper. Nigeria's hunger levels serious. Ranks 103 out of 121 countries. Fear 4 in 10 Nigerians live below $2 daily. UN chief, COO tax leaders on bending worsen poverty curve. Guterres, let us consign poverty to pages of history. Make poverty reduction key campaign issue. PWDs urge Nigerians. NHRC food crisis has worsened hunger in Nigeria. Okay, let's look at the Tribune, Nigerian Tribune. It's talking about the flood. 603 Nigerians killed, 2,504 million affected. So far, we've got 82,953 houses, 332,327 farmlands totally damaged. And there we've got Atiku Tinubu teams at each other's throat over Kaduna statement. State of economy, more factories may soon shut down unless. That's coming from LCCI. I swear to God, I will end Nigeria's security problems. That's coming from Atiku. Vote for me. Don't vote for Atiku and Obi. That's coming from Tinubu. I didn't write AGF to further detain Kanu. That's coming from Ihedioha, calls for police investigation. And finally, we've got Daily Independent. Let's look at that too. A federal government considers tackling choking debt with IMF SDR allocation. Legal tussle looms over Lagos Lekki Ekpe International Airport project. New airport is Fade Accompli. That's coming from stakeholder. I hope I got that. 14 billion NIPCO acquired Abuja Sheraton Hotel and Golf in controversy. I didn't write AGF to continue to detain Nnamdi Kanu. That's coming from Ihedioha. Serap threatens Buhari with legal action over failure to publish names of oil thieves. Gavdo Mahi to appoint more than 2,600 aides. And of course, we've got editor, security chief, election managers to examine political landscape. Okay, that's the papers for today. But quickly, let's have one or two analysis before we go. Atiku says Nigeria doesn't need leader who will move her from rotting to bad situations. Chuka. This was a statement made by one of the presidential candidates. What's going on? What's going on?
And definitely, when people are bereft of ideas on how to tackle the challenges facing the country, they will resort to certain shenanigans. Now, why you are not telling Nigeria what you are going to do, how you are going to do it?
Solve the
they
problem.
are now attacking, telling the population, do not vote these people. It is our turn. What is the meaning of that? So it means that you are the tail end of ideation. You are now, throwing tantrums. You are now calling names. You are now looking for opportunity to draw blood. But Nigeria needs to heal. Nigeria needs to progress. Nigeria needs to consolidate, their strength, and then pull away from all form of weaknesses that has, bedeviled the system.
Thank you very much.
And I advise Nigerians to look out for politicians who will come and start telling you evil about other people, not telling you what they will do, how to hold them accountable when they fail to do it, and when to start expecting what they are going to do. So we should look out for this. There should be timeline for delivery of political pledges.
All right.
If not, we shouldn't sign up any pact.
Thank you. As we round up, Sir Jerry, Nigeria's hunger level serious, ranked 103 out of 121 countries. As we round up this morning with a press review, what's your take on that quickly?
Yeah, my take is that, we are saying, we need somebody who can tell us, look, this is unacceptable, that we are 103 out of 121 countries. This is the way I want to take Nigeria out of it. That education is in shambles, that, students are going to Ghana here, even Benin, Cotonou. This is the way I want to, take back the education and avoid ASU strikes that disrupt education. This is in 4 years. I have a program for steady electricity to make the industries work again. Water, and this is what we want to be hearing, not tantrums and name calling and all that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Sachuka, you want to add something about the hunger situation in the country?
Definitely, like a popular quote said, they said that if he says that when a man of God is on the throne, or when a righteous man is on the throne, the people of God rejoices. You know what the others will be. So when an unrighteous man is on the throne, the people of God will suffer. So the hunger is a result of poor leadership. You don't sow stones and expect to dig up yams. Nigerians are very productive people. That's why when our people in diaspora, in fact, if you look at the sum, how many trillions that is repatriated from diaspora annually, you now find that Nigerians are hardworking. And these are not proceeds, we are not looking at proceeds of crime. Now, what is preventing us from being productive here? Because I know that food is one of the basic necessities of life. In fact, it's one of the base physiological needs. And that is individuals, families, we should still look back to productivity. You can always become hunger. Once you are hungry, you are angry, you tend towards crime and all manner of social misnomer. So I think every family who can afford it should start doing something about farming. There might not be arable lands available here, and government should invest more in farming, not just commercial farming, subsistence farming around our yards, vegetable especially. These days, even the vegetable, the quality of vegetable you find in the market is not something to write home about. The quality of foods in the market. So the government should, do something more about it before we look at the macro, economic, things to do about it. Because it's not just about increasing the wages. Look at what happened now. By the time when ASU went on strike February, at what rate do Naira exchange for dollar? What is the price now that they've called out the strike? Even if the salary had been doubled, if you look at the real value of
the purchasing power,
of the state-owned it has lost half of this.
Because of time, there's this particular story.
So hunger will always be there.
Yes, because of time, there was this particular story that had to do with ASU having an emergency meeting before resumption. I don't understand that part. Is it that you guys are not fully ready to resume, or you're having this thought that, you know what?
That is the strength of ASU as a labor union. You can't stay at the top and just take decisions. Even when the national body takes decision, they have to go back for ratification from each chapter, each university, each chapter must look at the decision, look at the agreements, and then agree to it. If not, the ASU union in each of the universities can exempt themselves from the general umbrella and say this is our own position. Because it is about you alone, because what favors everybody at the national level might not favor a particular university. So they have the right to say this doesn't favor us.
To get their opinions.
That agreement to be tweaked a little. So ASU is the most democratic institution in Nigeria.
All right, well, that's exactly where we ended in today's edition of the program Press Review. Of course, you can go out there and pick any of the papers you want to pick and get yourself informed, educated, and of course, have fun while you're also doing all of this. And I want to say a very big thank you to our guest this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Sir Chuka Uzeze, who's a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And of course, Jerry Obodo, thank you so much for lending us your experience.
You're welcome. In Anambra and the Nigerians, may peace of Christ continue to abide in us.
Amen. Well, stay with us. Good morning. Anambra continues shortly. We'll be right back.